This is my Module 16 case study for EDL 856. After reading through the scenario, we know that Ms. Rose is a new administrator at John F. Kennedy School and that she has no administrative experience as she has just graduated. Ms. Rose is also concerned about the lack of contact and involvement between the parents and community with the school district. Due to a lack of support and parent apathy, the current building principal has decided that parents no longer wish to be involved. He also feels as though he has adequate communication between the stakeholders because he is fielding various phone calls as well as receiving comments following parent-teacher conferences. After Ms. Rose has brought up her concern at least a second time, the principal decides to form a parents' advisory group. He does make it known that he will not be endorsing a PTO or a PTA at this time. The announcement was made to students, and then they were asked to relay the information to their parents. The principal made that announcement to students Friday afternoon and then held the meeting on Monday evening. During the Monday evening meeting, only 8 parents were in attendance, so now the school principal is questioning whether or not he should proceed with the meeting or whether they should take a different approach. So there are numerous questions that I would want to ask and want to know before proceeding with this. First of all, what grade level is this building? Whether it's an elementary or secondary, I do feel that that makes a difference in how you reach out to the stakeholders and work to build those relationships. I would also want to know what types of communications were typically used between the school to reach out to parents as well as the community. I'm also curious as to whether or not the meeting was advertised to the parents in any other manner or if it was based solely on students relaying that information to their parents. I think it's also important to find out whether or not teachers are supportive of increasing and building these relationships and whether or not there is presently a building or district site council in place. So to address this problem, I feel like there's really multiple areas that would have to be looked at. First of all, there's obviously a lack of relationship between the school and the stakeholders, which we know is very important to having a successful relationship within the community. The administration needs to determine why the parents are reluctant to become involved with the school district. I also feel that the administration needs to ensure that communication measures are in place for information to be delivered to the stakeholders as well as received back from them. And then the administration needs to work to develop a communication plan that's in place, and then all the administration could get behind it and support it. So my proposed plan of action would be to begin with the parent meeting, to move on to a survey that would go out to the parents and community members, to develop a building and district communication plan, to make sure that we've diversified that communication plan, and then to continuously reevaluate the perception of the school communication. So first of all, I would begin by continuing with the parent meeting as planned. Those 8 parents gave up their time to be there and be involved in this. So I think this is the perfect group to begin with, to stress the importance of having parents and community members become involved in the school and be supportive, and then ask them to become part of that core team that will then work to get others on board with this initiative. I feel that the next step would be to work with the administrative team to develop a parent survey to gather data regarding parent communication needs, providing that survey then out to parents in various forms so that it would be available and accessible for all parents. We want to make sure that all subgroups are represented in the information that is then collected. After collecting and analyzing the survey data, I would then work with the administrative team to develop a communication plan, one for the district and then one for my individual building. Through that implementation of the district and building communication plan, we would want to make sure that that communication out to our stakeholders was done in a variety of manners. I would also want to make sure that my teachers and staff were trained on the importance of, as well as strategies for, effective communication with the district stakeholders. And then the administrative team would need to work to develop a timeline as well as means for continuous analysis of the effective communication and whether or not that's being perceived by the community. We also know that technology is ever changing and that in fact turns into changing our modes of communication. So we would want to make sure that we were staying relevant with the modes of communication that were being implemented. We know that the district must promote the success of all students, but now we're also seeing the state of Kansas truly put that emphasis on relationships as it is tied back to student success. As the new KISA process has come out. One of those R's is relationships. So we know that there is a direct need for the school to begin to work with all stakeholders in the various subgroups to build quality relationships. I feel that not only does this provide support at home as well as at school, but it also then provides additional opportunities for students, and it ensures further success with support at home. I also feel that increased communication with the parents also helps to determine the students' needs. We know that parents know their students the best, and so then the school can step in and provide better services for each of the students. And we also can then pair students with the right resources to ensure the most out of their academic success. And then finally, better understanding the community also allows for better support of the students and their families by connecting those families with appropriate resources to help ensure the best quality of life at home. I also feel that promoting the success of all students, the limited turnout for the parent meeting demonstrates the need for revisions in the relationship. It highlights the necessity of getting in and truly making changes to what is currently being done within the school. Although the student should be encouraged to share information with the parents, I don't feel that this should be the sole responsibility of the students. We should make sure that as the school district, we are providing that information in multiple forms. And then we want to make sure that we're providing a united approach to meeting the needs of the whole student as well as their families. We know that when a student has their basic needs met, they can then come to school and be focused strictly on learning. Throughout this, there are numerous things that were running through my head, such as obviously something needs to change. I'm questioning why the principal is so hesitant to want to build those relationships. And I'm also wondering if he really, through the establishment of this advisory, is he really wanting to build the parent involvement, or is he doing it maybe as a tactic to show that there's a lack of interest? And then I also am wondering what's happened in the past for this to be the present situation. I'm very excited for what is possible and what could come and what this would mean for students if those relationships were then built and maybe this gap between the school and the community was bridged. I'm very suspicious as to why the principal is taking the approach that he is and so reluctant to address this matter. And then saddened for those students for this not to be a priority within the district as well as the school. I feel like it's important that we value not only all the stakeholders, but also our student needs, the relationships, the culture of the community, as well as the opportunities for all of our students. There are numerous unresolved issues that I feel like would need to be addressed throughout this process. First of all, from the principal's reaction, there was obviously an issue in the past. So whatever that issue was, I feel like it needs to be addressed so that as we're moving forward, we're not repeating the same mistakes that have occurred in the past. I'm also wanting to come back and resolve the issue of why the principal is so reluctant to move forward with this. We want to make sure that whatever that communication plan is that the district administrative team comes up with, it is something that all of the administrators are going to be able to get on board with. So we want to make sure that he's going to be a supporter in the future. And then I also feel like we need to address communication as a whole from the classroom all the way up to the district level. What does that communication look like on a regular basis? Are parents effectively being communicated with by their teachers? How do parents communicate with one another within the school district? And then looking at those various strategies that are being implemented. So looking at academic success for all students, I feel like by working together to build those relationships that we're going to provide further opportunities within the community. Through various relationships, students can then have opportunities for community service projects, apprenticeships, as well as numerous other opportunities, depending on the specific community as to what all is available to students. However, I feel like this is something that as a school district, as we move forward with the IPS, it is increasingly important to have those opportunities within the community for students to take those skills that they're learning in the classroom and then translate them into ways that they can reach out in that real world setting. I also feel like this is an opportunity for that unified team approach as a staff to move forward with the parent communication. It'll help increase opportunities for parent support and then for those students to be successful inside and outside of the classroom. And then finally, by strengthening the relationship with the parents, the school can become more enlightened about the community and the culture, as well as those additional supports that can help the classroom and families at home provide that additional support for our students and addressing the whole student. To address the personal well-being of each student, I feel like we're providing continued opportunities inside and outside of the classroom for students to further develop personal skills and hobbies. We're creating those strong relationships between the school and parents, which can then help ensure that families are connected with various resources. And again, we're meeting emotional and mental needs of students as well as their families. And increased communication between teachers and parents will help to ensure that students have support both in the classroom as well as then at home. And then to develop those communities of engagement. We want to make sure that we're providing opportunities for parents and community members to engage with the school, to share ideas and concerns, and also providing opportunities for two-way communication. We want to make sure that we're providing various modes of communication, and we want to make sure that we're connecting with all of those various groups that make up the stakeholders, that no single subgroup is being excluded. And then by optimizing the relationships with various community members and organizations, students can then begin to be engaged in the community in a variety of ways. I feel like this is an issue that many school districts are dealing with on various levels. I'm very excited that KISA has made this something that schools are now stepping back and looking at and truly analyzing how we're building these relationships and how we can strengthen them. So I'm looking forward to hearing how everyone else would address this issue within their school district. Thank you.